connect, serve, and grow is what you can expect at the House of Reconciliation. Leadership, community, education, wellness, and participation is part of our plan for your spiritual growth and success. Family and faith is a core value for the House of Reconciliation, working to help people find their purpose. Want to make an impact in the kingdom? Ready to tap into your future?
Good evening and welcome in. We're here at the Greenwood campus, 210 Pansy Road, Hodges, South Carolina. Thank all of you that are here for in-service and those that are joining us virtually, as well as to our Greenville campus and, of course, to our virtual campus and all of our global connections. We thank God for the opportunity to share with you. We're not going to waste your time. Got a lot of information that we're going to work with. I was asked about sharing and teaching finances, so we're going to try to do that for the next couple of classes. But I'm going to read to you an article, a portion of it, and it'll explain a little bit of why we're going to have these conversations. I think our subject is it's going to get thick, but it will, or it's going to become rich. And it's going to get thick because it's going to rub some probably the wrong way, make you think. But the whole scope of it is to get everyone who's willing to listen, and that's the word that we're on right now in the month of September, to listen, to reset and recalibrate their finances. I've talked to a lot of people. A lot of people don't like the word budget. So we're going to say reorganize finances. And why? There was an article that said full-time work doesn't pay. Why are so many working American families living day to day? This brings us to the book, Basic Financial Steps. It is a book. I think I finished the last portion today to have it relaunched. So I'm assuming that either by the end of September or the 1st of October, it will be back on a national and international level. But if you're interested in it, you can go to www.reginaldcampbellsbooks.com or www.houseofreconciliation.org and purchase the book. Right now, I think it's $15, but for it to go national, I think the price is going to be $16.99. So if you want a copy, don't hesitate, because the reason it came back is a lot of people came to me and said, wow, I've used some principles in the book that have helped me in the midst of inflation. And even though inflation has gone down maybe 1.5%, most people were in bad shape before inflation. And so I'm going to read you this article. It comes from Belly Soups. Why are so many working American families living day to day? More than 1/3 of U.S. families that work full-time year-round do not earn enough to cover, and I want you to write this down, this word, basic family budget. Basic family budget, not elaborate, basic family budget, according to the recent report from researchers at Brandeis University, diversitydatakids.org, program at the Institute for Child, Youth, and Family Policy. This situation is even more dire. Now, this is not my writing. This is a writing that was in USA Today, and it was done by an independent publisher. The situation is even more dire for Black and Hispanic families, according to the report. More than half cannot afford basic needs, compared to 25% of white families and 23% of Asian Pacific Islander families. Inequalities remain even when controlling for education and occupation. This is contributing to a significant difference in the opportunities that families can provide for their children, says Abigail Walker, a research associate at the Institute for Child, Youth, and Family Policy. Here's what I want to say, and this is why I think the subject is it's going to get thick, but it is going to become rich, is many people, and I don't want to specifically call out any ethnicity group, but the article speaks for itself. Here is one of the things we are going to have to do. Quit seeing your life and your finances through a peephole. When you look at it as a peephole, then all you see is enough to survive for today. Most people either have an iPhone or Android phone or Google phone, and there is a section in your picture, your gallery, called panoramic view. I want you to start seeing and beginning to learn how to see your life and your finances in a panoramic view versus a peephole. Now, why a peephole? Well, if you see a peephole, you see just enough to pay bills. And one of the things that I wrote, and I thank you, Bernice, for sharing that with me of what you were reading, because as long as people have an interest, I'll find a way to teach and hopefully explain. What I said is this. Number one, if you're going to write, many people just make enough to pay bills, but not enough to plan their future. What are you saying? Many people have a job, and let me break this out real quick. Most of those jobs are now paying $16 to $18 to $19 an hour. And according to a study that was done in Greenville, South Carolina by the news journals there, they said that person that was making $19 an hour is still considered low income. Now, this isn't me saying this. This is a report. And they were saying that the average low income rent between Greenville, Malden, and Easley is $1,200 a month. If you're paying that, they said you can't afford gas. Now, there is a time. Now, the reason I'm going to share with you the peephole is that many people today, and I was having a conversation with a gentleman today, and he shared with me, he said, hey, Pastor, you're resetting the bar, because I have trouble teaching finances because I don't like the look on people's face when I talk about finances and money. It look like either my breath bad or I'm cursing. And I hope I'm not cursing while I'm live. Okay. And he said, no. He said, because what happens is, and I read this in the psych world. The psych world said the average person compares themselves to their neighbors or to their friends. And they see themselves as doing better than their neighbor and their friend. And that makes them happier within themselves. What does that mean? If my car is in the junkyard and your car is in the junkyard, how do I really feel better that my car is better than your car and we both sitting in the junkyard? Here is the challenge, and he really opened my eyes today, and I thank you, Mr. Charles Beasley, Deacon Beasley. He said to me, most people are comparing their finances to their parents' finances and to their parents' way of living. My dad and my mom didn't have this. My dad and my mom didn't have that. I have this, so I'm better than my parents. Here's the second word I want you to get. In anything that you do, you need to understand market value. If you are working in manufacturing, you need to learn what market value is for that position and that job that you're doing. Market value. Now, if we read this article, it even talks about the disparity, and I'm quite sure at some point we'll post it. It even talked about the disparity. It says the report found that 35% of families who work full-time don't earn enough for basic needs such as housing, food, Medicare, transportation to work, child care. Here's the thing. For low-income families, now don't be mad at me, those whose incomes fall 200% of the supplemental poverty measurement, or $52,492. Here's the thing. One in the house makes 30, the other one makes 20, so you say you're right around 50-something. Here's the problem. Over $10,000 a year you spend for one child in child care. So if you and your spouse, your companion, is making $52,000, if you got 2 children, half of your money, because Big Mama is no longer at the house anymore. There are very few people who can keep your kids all day. My grandfather, the great Alonzo Campbell Sr., he kept us outside under a tree. Parents would come by, drop the kids off, give him $5 or $10 a week, and he just watches. You had to bring a lunch now. You can't be hungry, because you would be hungry, because he's not going in the kitchen to fix nothing for you. You're just gonna be outside. You better bring something to drink. If your parents took you, you would be safe. But you spent your day playing in the yard, playing in the church parking lot, and that was your babysitter. That was summer camp back in my day. You take a child now, this is child care without summer camp. So if you guys are only making, or two people only making $52,000, and you got 2 children, so I don't know what you do with 2 or more. And this article, I took out the piece where it was this couple that it was written based upon in San Diego who were renting, and they had 5 children. Two adults and 2 children, 77% who can't pay bills despite working full time. This is a series you need to listen to. It's thick, but it will make you rich if you listen. Quit comparing yourself to what your parents have or what people have on the job. That's why somebody's out there driving a fancy car, making $13.45 an hour, and you talking about, ooh wee, look at them. They making the same thing you making. What does it mean in lay terms? Stop trying to impress people. You can't impress people when you're within 50 cents of each other in an hourly rate. Market value is the word. That's the number 2 word. Stop resetting the bar. Yes, you're doing better than your parents, but you're not getting market value. Let me give you another word. Free doesn't give you details. Stop getting everything free. I know ain't nobody going right now. Free never comes with details. Free becomes clutter. If it's free, that means generally, not all the time, but most of the time nobody else wanted it. Here is what happens, number 2. Many times when we are underprepared, we feel stress. Why? We budget everything through a peephole, not a panoramic view. What is a panoramic view? Where am I at now? Where I should be, and where I need to be, and where will I be down the road? That's a panoramic view. Because when I can't work these 55 and 60 hours a week, and I'm older, and you can be in perfect health, but that doesn't mean you're guaranteed to keep perfect health. When your body and things start to go wrong and life sets in, stress. So all of a sudden now, it wasn't in your budget to have hypertension medication. It wasn't in your budget to have certain diseases medication for that. Because of stress. Stress will stress your heart. It will cause you to overeat. Stress will lead to depression. Stress will lead to anger. Because you know what? We're underprepared because it is easy, and this is when you hear me say sight is blinding. Because you're doing better than someone that's walking doesn't mean that we are prepared for the future. Free doesn't give details, number 1. Number 2, here's the thing. Here is what we want to do. So write this, cross the line. When you cross the line, you're crossing over from a peephole point of view to a panoramic point of view. In other words, when I cross the line, not only will I make a difference in my life, but I become a living epistle to others. And not only will I do that, but I will have something like the Bible says, "O slugger, go to the ant." I will have something prepared for me. So then when I get that wonderful niece or nephew or adopt that wonderful child, I will have more than my hourly wage to help and support. And this is going to be tough when I say this. Most paychecks are designed to keep people functioning paycheck to paycheck. And let me go ahead and throw this out because I don't want to throw you out. Here's one you need to write down. If you really want to learn, and we talked about that word, what was that word? Um, Basic family budget. Can I give you a couple precursors? Number one, quit budgeting on your gross. People plan their bills on their gross. When you go to apply for a loan for an automobile or certain things, they want to know your annual. Your annual is not your reality. So most people get stuck with purchasing something that they're literally not in a financial position to do it because it's based on their gross. And this is going to sting a little bit. Remember I said it's going to get thick, but it'll make you rich? Here's the thing I told the guy. He makes $10.25 an hour. I said, by the time they take taxes, you're making $6 an hour. Okay? You're 65 years old. Number two, your wife doesn't work. So really, you're making $3 an hour for you, and you're making $3 an hour for her. And you wonder why you're behind. Because your Social Security is never going to change. Because then when they come up with this other stuff, Medicare and Part A and Part B and Part C, yeah, all that costs money. And they take that out of your monthly check. Thank you. I appreciate it. So all that kind of, and listen, every one of us going to need Medicaid, Part A, Part B. And listen, you can say you don't want it. You turn 65, you're going to get it whether you want it or not. Your insurance company is going to drop you at age 65. They can't wait to get rid of you. You automatically, they know, I'm dead. Think that if you keep on thinking that if you want to. Yeah, and you got to have that. So there's a certain point you don't change your insurance policy. Because right now, your insurance policy wouldn't go up. At our age, they don't even want to cover you. Anybody want to talk to me? So we got choices to make. A basic family budget cannot be based on gross. Your base need to be based on your net. Because it's an imagination to think you make $20, $25 an hour. You really don't. When they start taking off the top and 401k and FICA and Social Security and all those things, you're not making what you think you're making. You make what your net is on your check. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. So now, cross the line. Make a difference, not only in your life, but in the lives of others. You know, I wrote something and you see me looking crazy. I don't even know what I wrote. Okay, we'll scratch that one because I can't figure that one out. Can't tell you something I can't remember. All right. Here's a dynamic key. As you see, the picture is now is the time to change your mindset about money. Ask me why. We're in the last quarter of third quarter. If you and I start revisiting and looking at our finances now, fourth quarter is always a make or break for companies. I look at fourth quarter for people as an opportunity to reset your finances. What does that mean? I'll give you one. Don't plan off of your emotions and your growth. That gives you from October, give you from mid-September to January the 1st to start planning off of your net. When you do that, now you're going to have a more realistic budget. Here is what, and the reason for it, to really be financially stable and to learn finances, there comes 4 elements with it. and most people don't care for the four. The first one is your attitude toward money, number one. Number two, because of the attitude, now it affects your behavior, number two. Number three, if your attitude is bad and you don't have the behavior, then you can't stay focused, which is the third word, on your financial goals. Because too many of us wear the fireman's hat. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to, oh, we going, my friend going here. There's sometimes you can't go out to eat. That $25, $30 and that $2.15 temp you're going to leave, you need to save that money. You need to go on and pull them winnies out the refrigerator and steam them buns and make you some chili, or open up a can of chili and eat those hot. You're not going to die. It's okay to miss some things. If you have internet at the house, you need to figure out why you're paying for cable. I didn't even have a phone and had a cable bill of $279. Yeah. Because see, some things we think we have to have. Remember, I said a peephole view versus a panoramic view. Because when you look at it from a panoramic view, I said, okay, if I can get rid of $200 of this and only have $79, I can take that $200 and pay off these other bills. That's a panoramic view. So then you've got to have the right attitude about money. Then you got to have the right behavior with money. So in other words, when you get your check, do what you planned in your budget. If you do that, then you don't have to fight with number three to stay focused. What does that mean? Don't say things that you're not going to do. If you're going to do and put, and you got to watch those things that draw you in, and you try to be like everybody else. Just because you see people with money doesn't mean that they're going to keep that money. So focus. You have, what is my goal this week? Yes, ma'am. You got to watch your money. But see, when the people go through and you want to bigger size it, you want to upsize it, you want to do this, yeah. It ain't but 85 cents. That 85 cent add up. Right? That's my whole point. This is why I'm telling kids, young man, you need to get a water cooler jug. And you need to get a quart jar. And your aunts can tell you what a quart jar is. And you put your pennies in a quart jar, and you put all your silver coins in here. And then at around Christmas time, we're going to purchase a coin counter, and you will have more money than you think you will have. Because it's still relevant that the average adult in the United States still don't have $400 for an emergency. So the first one is attitude. The second one is behavior. The third one is focus. And here's the last one, is discipline. Everyone has the ability to be financially stable, but here's something that many people do not share with you. The Bible talks about there were 4 rivers in the Garden of Eden. These 4 rivers represented 4 financial incomes. Every person, male or female, needs 4 streams of income. I don't have time, but I will write them out what the 4 is for. 1 is to pay bills. There should be actually two that's coming in to you. So there should be something, and this is why God didn't leave anybody without anything. The problem with most people is what they're gifted and talented to do is not popular in the eyes of other people. I'm going to say this as I get ready to close because we have kids to go, but remember those are called the four horsemen, the four elements of life. Here is what I will say in the closing. Think it through before you spend it. Think it through before you spend it. What I'm trying to share with you is if you take these four elements, you should be in a place, in a position, not now, not tomorrow, but in time, that you won't have to worry about what your job is going to do and how long you're going to be there. Because when you get in the face of God, you will discover your innate inheritance. You need to study your family. It may be stupid to others, but it may be the revelation for you to be successful. It's real simple for me. I don't mind sharing with I come from a lineage of preachers. My great-great-grandfather was the Reverend Lud Boozer, who pastored 4 Baptist churches right here in Greenwood. He pastored a church in Millway. He had 4 churches. My grandmother, she pastored 2. God rest their souls. And I have writings from my great-great-grandfather, and I have writings from my grandmother. And I kept saying, I write all this stuff down. And it hit me. They never published anything. But yet they were 2 of the best speakers in their day that you could find. But they never wrote. That's how I found my innate inheritance. I inherited the gift to preach. But God anointed me and took me from a preacher to a teacher. Oh yeah, from a preaching standpoint, I'm scared of nobody. Yeah, I take them all on because I know I got the gift, and that's from God. And I got the gift of knowing how to communicate from my great-great-grandfather and my grandmother. I never hide. Y'all can hide y'all gifts, and you know, if my great-grandfather was a shoe shiner and I can shine shoes, I would outshine your shoes in a minute. That's not bragging. That's what I got. That's my gift. But God dialed me down and made me a teacher. And now I've got 5 books, and finally this one is getting published international, and I have 2 children's books, another financial books, and a book of poetry, because that's my gift. That's one of the streams of income that I'm setting up for myself. My gift will not be your gift, but how I found my gift and how I found balance was I discovered what my innate inheritance was. And I couldn't let it be in the 40s and the 50s as my grandfather, and I couldn't let it, my great-grandfather, and I couldn't let it be as the great days of my grandmother. I had to find how it fitted within me. And so then now I understand, and I'm seeing with my grandchildren how I need to position myself, and hopefully their parents are, that whatever gifts they have and have received from me, they can go farther than me. Everybody has a gift. I spoke with someone and they were sharing with me how someone says, really, if they would have listened, they would have worked in their gifts. And here is how I found mine. And many people have asked this question across the world when I use these 2 words, your innate inheritance and your spiritual birthright. Your spiritual birthright is almost like an insurance policy with God. He said that I will bless your hands. I will withhold no good thing from you if you walk uprightly. When you come to Christ and you're not into religion and tradition and you worship God, when the Bible says that God is a spirit and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth, and you begin to worship God and your life exemplifies the God that you serve. 2 things that God gives us, which we don't use, forgiveness and compassion. And we grow. God will lead you into being successful. It's just like my great-grandparents. As wonderful and as great as he was, there was a law that said certain ethnicity groups couldn't own land in the country. People think I built another house because I could. No. I built that house in honor of the man who gave me an innate gift, where he lived and died in a duplex because he couldn't buy land. I wanted to buy land in the county that he lived and died. Because if you respect where you come from, then it's impossible for you to miss your inheritance. God bless you. I'll see you soon.